now go to this. So throw this up on the screen there. We have a new national poll by the Angus Reid Institute, and this is one of the worst polls for Trump of all time, with both the first and the second term in mind. So the approval rating overall is now 35%. That's like in the ballpark of what it was like after January 6th, okay? Then we also, when we get into some more specifics here, the airstrikes on Iran, only 32% of the country supports that. Boots on the ground in Iran, only 24% of the country supports that. And in this particular poll, it's actually the worst number for him when it comes to MAGA Republicans supporting war on Iran. This one actually has only 67% of MAGA Republicans support war on Iran. Among non-MAGA Republicans, it drops all the way to 40%.
Oh, wow.
And then among independents, it's 11% of independents support war with Iran. So this is, honestly, catastrophic for the regime.
Wow.
But the question is, when I see this, I immediately go to, well, how can they keep doing things that are this unpopular? And unfortunately, I keep falling back on, because they don't plan on having a free and fair election, because he's got like 7 different ways that he's like literally like, giving you teasers of each way that, whether it's an executive order or doing something with ICE or whatever, they're going to try to steal the election. And I don't think people have really, it's almost like, I know everything is crazy right now, but it's almost like the calm before the storm in a sense. Because when those midterm elections come around and he says, the voting is fraudulent, I see the mail-in votes are fraudulent, now I'm going to send in ICE in order to seize the ballots, and people are going to be like, holy fucking shit, like it's actually happening. And the second that they seize those ballots or those machines, that's it. As soon as you lose track of the custody order for the ballots, that's it. Like then you don't know what the actual results are going to be. So this is what terrifies me, is that, and look, this is my conspiracy theory. I speculated Gallup stopped doing the tracking poll for the president's approval rating because I think they had like a 29% number that came in, and they were like, if we release this, he's going to target us, just like he targeted Ann Selzer in Iowa when she released a poll that he didn't like. He's going to sue us. He's going to try to bankrupt us. So they said, instead of releasing it, let's just opt out of this thing completely. Let's just not do presidential polls anymore at all. And so, I don't know, when I look at this, it's like, it's great in that people are waking up, but it's also terrifying in that they're not acting like they have to be beholden to the American people at all anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's really scary. Why did you have to bring that up? Now I'm going to have even more nightmares than I usually do. And of course, while what you're saying is, I think, very convincing, we also should remember, and I'm not, call me a lib. I'm sorry, but I don't equate I don't equate the Republicans and Democrats, but at the same time, the Dems are 100% enabling Trump. And we have to make sure that we are aware of that. Now, I'm not talking about, I'm not saying that they would steal an election, but they should be, I think, obviously more of an opposition party than they actually are, especially given how unpopular this war is.
Yeah, impeach him. Try to do something to 25th Amendment him, like open up investigations, jam up the works however the hell you can. Like, this is not like, we're not playing around anymore. Like, we're on the brink of World War III, if not already in it.
You guys want to hear something funny on the Dem front? So we were talking about how Ruben Gallego had gone on CNN and was like, who's been saying some good stuff, voted for the War Powers Resolution, backed Graham Platten or whatever. And then he went on CNN and was like, maybe I'll vote for the war funding.
Yeah, what is up with that?
So I tweeted about that. And he DM'd me and was like, no, look, this new tweet that I just put out where he says he opposes the war funding. So it shows you that pressure works, right? That's what these people are, they're political actors. War funding curious? You saw Mark Kelly, same thing when he first got asked about the War Powers Resolution. He was like, I don't know. Right. And then by the next day, he was like, I'm voting for it, because I'm sure his office was getting hell.
But he was about funding the war, so now he's committing to not funding the war?
Correct.
Let's go.
Yeah. So just a little update in terms of people, you cannot expect these people to have solid principles that they always act by.
Right. We got to force them.
But when you have an issue where, I don't know, it's 95% of the Democratic base that opposes this war in Iran and not on a, they didn't brief us properly concern, but on an actual concern.
Imagine that, yeah.
There is a lot of pressure that can be applied, and they're clearly feeling the heat, as evidenced by the fact that every Democrat voted for the War Powers Resolution, save for, ultimately, John Fetterman.
Who's brain damaged and MAGA.
Yeah, you just give up on him. Totally. Right, that's a lost cause, that one.
Yeah, and then Aida Chavez, right? She reported that A senior Democratic congressional staffer told her that it was pretty clear that Democratic leadership was trying to delay and or potentially sideline a vote on the war powers resolution last week.
Yes, that's what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer did. They basically told Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, like, oh, no, we're not going to bring it up at first. And then after that, they were like, oh, yeah, we're actually going to bring it up next week. And then Trump attacked on the weekend before we got to the next week. So I think they got tipped off. I think they were told, like, go ahead and allow it because we're going to attack anyway. So it doesn't matter. And by the way,
they were trying to buy him time.
They were trying to buy him time, man. Like, this, it's just so crazy. The fact that we're allowing this to happen, now it's not only another illegal and offensive war, but now they're talking about actual boots on the ground. The idea of doing this with no congressional input whatsoever at any point. I mean, if Obama did something like this, they would have impeached him so fast, it would have been a record time, and they would have removed him. He would have been impeached and removed because it would have went through in the Senate, too. So this is just horrifying.
One more thing I wanted to say about the election concerns is I think the war and the election rigging, like, you have to tie those two things together, because Trump's MO is to pretend or create a national emergency to seize more power. And so I think part of the plan, one of the things they'll try is, like, we're at war, we can't have elections, right? And he also floated immediately after he launched this war, he said, oh, Iran intervened, they were meddling in the 2020 election. And
they're trying to get Maduro, too, to say, oh, I stole the election.
So I think he also thinks the war will help him to be able to rig the midterm elections. And, you know, ultimately, like, there's no easy answer to, like, what you do about that going in.
I think you just say what can be done,
And the hope is that he's so unpopular and the war's so unpopular that people just don't stand for it. I think that's the only thing you can really count on.
I think back to that story of Nixon in the White House, and there was massive protests. I guess it was over Vietnam outside, and they looked out the window and they were genuinely afraid that the people were going to get through the White House gate. They had to actually fear for their safety. So, like, before they actually do anything.
Hold back,
Yeah, and he said this about Ukraine, Crystal, you're right. He said about Zelensky, like, this guy didn't have an election. He didn't have an election because he's at war. Oh, so is that how it works? So if I have a war, can I? So this, like, he's piecing it all together. And like I said, he actually has floated like 6 or 7 different ways in order to try to steal it. It's horrible. My brain is so Gen Alpha-fied. It's the worst thing ever. But for real, though, like, that he is going to use one of this 7 or 6 different ways to try to steal the election, and it's no fucking laughing matter. I mean, it's absolutely terrifying. And by the way, what does it look like if he's imagine, like, it's the midterms. The average for his polling is at like 32%. This war has dragged on. Fucking everybody's furious. We're in a massive recession. Gas is $5 a gallon, right? What does it look like when the Mad King in that instance tries to roll out one of his plans, right, to steal the election? Like, we're talking. This country's falling apart. It is, like, getting ripped apart at the seams, bro. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
I do really hope that people realize that it's not all because of like a foreign influence, because I think, again, we miss the point if we don't realize that this is also furthering the interest of, like, homegrown, good old-fashioned American, not people, but elites. And I'm just thinking, you know, more and more about how important it is to remember that, because I just see a lot of America First analysis that I think really kind of misses the boat on this. And it's important to understand what's really happening. And of course, it's not that Israel doesn't have a lot of sway. And I should be clear, like, you know, I think Israel is an absolutely evil government. I mean, and sadly, it's not just a state project, as Norman Finkelstein says. Like, Gaza was a national project, and you have ridiculously high support for this genocide. So I'm not at all exonerating Israel. I mean, that's like the last thing I want to do. I just think that we have to remember that there are also interests, evil interests in the United States, because if we want to know how to respond to that, we have to bear that in mind. And another thing I want to say is, like, it is so rich to hear Marco Rubio and Mike Johnson talk about Iran as this, like, fundamentalist nation, a theocracy. And recently, Mike Johnson said Iranians have a, quote, misguided religion. So Mike Johnson, by the way, is the same guy who helped facilitate the transport of 5 red heifers from Texas to Tel Aviv. Because, you know, according to some evangelical Christians, a red heifer needs to be sacrificed to usher in the end times. So I mean, watching Republicans claim that Iran is theocratic as they are engaging in their own rapture readiness project is just so rich. Like, you really can't make it up.
Yeah, and Mike Johnson also has an app on his phone to check when his son is beating off.
It's the worst thing ever,
that,
yeah.
like, on that alone, give me the fucking Ayatollah all day, every day, bro. Are you kidding me? He never started a war. He said nuclear weapons are un-Islamic. He's got some hilarious old tweets.
I'm sure. Yeah, he doesn't have that app. Yeah.
Hey guys, I highly recommend you check out the full episode, only available on Substack. You can sign up below. If you sign up for free, you can get the audio version delivered right to your email inbox as soon as that drops. You can also sign up and pay $5 a month to get the full video version a day early. So check that out below.